Richard Morris will be on Squawk Box, but we do have a few minutes to speak to him now on Capital Connection. He's head of research at MIG Investments. Why don't we start by talking about central banks? Obviously, we've seen lots of action coming from central banks in 2008, but now we're in the brand new year. Rate cuts, quantitative easing. What does this mean for how things are going to pan out in 2009? What are the knock-on effects?
I think the real big problem we've got for what the Federal Reserve has done and what the UK has done is with the quantitative easing as well. All they've done is they've started buying the 5- and 10-year paper to drive down yields, and that's been allowing out the Chinese and a lot of the other investors, and they've been moving down the curve. And they're not actually really addressing what the problem is. I mean, the big problem they've got is that we're going to see the largest single debt issuance by the US, by the UK, ever. So, and, you know, they're creating a big problem. I think you're going to see interest rates at the market saying, where's the risk premium? On the 5, 10-year, there is no risk premium. And I think that this is going to be something that will come back and really haunt the central banks very badly. And they're going to find themselves caught very much a 1933 situation where interest rates suddenly moved from 2.5% and suddenly went to 6% within a month. And this is probably 6 months down the road, but we've got some real problems coming up, I think.
So you expect for 6 months from now that central banks are going to find themselves in that position where they have to raise rates?
Oh, yeah. I think they're in real difficulty. I mean, real difficulty. They're basically bailing out everybody. I mean, and TARP is now for everybody. It's, you know, the man next door can go knock on the door. I mean, you can't keep doing this. The reality is that China and the BRIC countries, they've got their own self-sustaining economies. They're going to drive their own economy and their own consumer. The US and the UK are going to be in some real problems here. And the UK in particular, I think, has got the biggest problem. I mean, we're looking for the pound to get absolutely crushed this year. It could, you know, against the euro, it could easily go. You know, we called parity last year. At the beginning of last year, we turned around and expected parity against the pound, and we've pretty well done it. This year, you know, by the end of the year, next year we could see 150, 160 against the euro on the pound. It's really in difficulty, and we see a lot of problems coming up, particularly for the UK markets.
Richard, it's Maura here in Asia, looking at the implications and what you've just said, where we would see a huge turnaround in the inflationary picture for economies to deal with. You talk about the negative impact that's going to have on the pound. Would you have the similar outlook for the U.S. dollar? Because it's caught in the crosshairs between that kind of fundamental issue dragging down the dollar, but at the same time, a flight to quality that we've seen in repatriation that has supported the strength in the U.S. dollar.
I think we look at the US dollar more. It's got similar problems. I mean, we expect the US dollar to ease by about and to lose about 20% of its value during the course of this year. A lot of the strength that was seen in the last 6 months or so, before we came rushing to the end of the year, a lot of that was driven out of hedge fund repatriation of funds because they reported in US dollars. The money was going back. Now you've got that money starting to